Siomra Beag.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to On Siomra Beag. Welcome back to the tiny room. Welcome back to the digital version of On Tiny Siomra Beag. Tiny. My name is Michael. I'm the Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am joined by the man who is such a fan of the COVID-19 pandemic that he wants to make a fan film about it. It's Benjamin.
I do. It's called COVID. Misunderstood or just a badass?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a work in progress, I'll be honest. The title could use a little bit of tweaking.
It could, Ben. I was a bit disappointed with that title, I have to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
it wasn't my best work. But I tell you what is my best work, Michael. Bloody fucking theme tunes.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Very good. We should point out you didn't write that theme tune. It was a good friend of ours.
Yeah, no,
Benjamin,
that's not mine at all.
I would have said COVID, a viral love story.
Oh, that's nice.
That's probably better.
Very romantic. Anything would have been better than the title I came up with, Michael.
Yeah. Literally anything.
Anything.
Literally anything, Ben. Speaking of anything being better than the title that they finally did come up with, have you seen the teaser trailer for Venom 2?
No.
You haven't? It's very exciting, Ben.
You kept that very cune.
You just reminded me. On your screen, Ben, imagine your screen. Create a mental picture for yourself, okay? Create a mental image. Okay. You have a screen in front of you. It's a black screen.
Oh.
And then Venom, the word Venom appears.
No.
And then below Venom in smaller font, the word let appears.
Oh, okay.
And you're thinking, what's going on here? And then the next word appears, Ben, and it says there.
Oh, what the...
And then one more word appears, Ben, and it says be.
Oh, well, boys, I'm very fucking fucked.
And then the bloody final word appears, Ben, and it says carnage.
Oh, bloody. Michael, that doesn't feel very earned. It feels like they're shoehorning a bunch of classic characters into one thing without any kind of effort
that's
there.
The trailer, Ben. That's the trailer. It is earned. He was in the post-credit scene for the first one. Remember, it's Woody Harrelson.
Would you feck off?
It's Woody Harrelson. Your favourite actor, Woody Harrelson.
I do love Woody Harrelson and will watch the movie purely for good old Woody.
And because we have to do it for the podcast.
And because we have a pop culture podcast that you tricked me into signing a fucking contract for many years ago. Yeah. And if I back out now, I'll lose a kidney.
Yeah. I think it was feet. I think it was, if you ever don't do the podcast for 2 weeks in a row, I'll cut off your feet.
Well, if it's Benjamin, feet, I'll gladly sacrifice them to be let out of this podcast.
Who needs feet, Ben? Who needs feet? Runners. No, there's that guy who shot his wife. What was his name?
Oscar.
He doesn't need feet.
Oscar Pistorius.
Oscar Pistorius, yeah, he doesn't need feet to do well. What are we talking about, Ben? Benjamin, speaking of great COVID tragedies, who are you looking at? Who are you looking at? Who's there? What's she doing?
Your SD cards.
She needs her SD card.
It's
in Ben's computer.
There we go.
Everything's sorted now. Benjamin, speaking of great COVID tragedies, we've had a victim of COVID. I don't know if you know this, Benjamin, but our local cinema, the IMC cinema, has closed down and won't be reopening.
Get out of town.
Yeah, isn't that a shame?
Is that the square?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Get out of here, COVID. Nobody wants you.
COVID. Not a love story.
No. So we knew the cinema industry was suffering, as many industries are, Benjamin.
As many industries are, Michael.
But now we've seen that our local cinema, Ben, where we enjoyed the film of the musical theatre Cats.
I thankfully didn't have to enjoy that or endure that.
To go.
As
that's
the
where I
youth
saw
say.
it, Ben. And I'll always have it as a fond place in my memories.
Quick question for you there, Michael.
Yes, Benjamin.
Quick question for you.
Yes.
Where will the youths gather now?
I don't know, Benjamin. Did the youths go to the cinema? Maybe if the youths were going to the cinema, it wouldn't have closed down.
It's been closed because of COVID, Michael. The youths can't get in.
Yeah. The youths can't get in. Benjamin, I saw The Lion King there when it came out. The first one, the real one, not the horrible one.
Oh, the first real Lion King.
Yeah, I saw Home Alone 2 there, Benjamin.
Yes.
When it came out in the cinema.
That's
how long that cinema's been open.
Michael, you've been around.
I know, that cinema's been there longer than you've been alive, young man. Probably not, but close enough.
Close enough. If you saw Home Alone there.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Well, let's find out when Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, starring beloved President Donald H. Trump.
Oh, he is in it.
Yes, he is, bizarrely.
I think people should have voted for Marv for president.
Marv for president would have 100% cast my vote in that direction. Were I an American citizen.
We don't have a vote though, Ben.
Now, Michael.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest. That cinema has definitely been open longer than I've been alive. Because Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, was released in 1992.
Oh, yeah.
I was born in 1991, and I hazard a guess the cinema was there before Home Alone 2.
No, that was the grand opening. Home Alone 2, they said, Home Alone 2 is coming out. We need more cinemas. It's going to pack them in. Anyway, very sad, Ben. Very sad.
Cope with capacity.
Speaking of trailers, Ben.
Go on.
I can't remember. You do it.
Oh, okay. Speaking of trailers, Michael, no, there's a bit more news that we have before that, Michael.
Yeah.
Michael, you'll recall that you and I are possibly the two biggest fans of CW's Batwoman.
No, I've not seen it.
No, we're the biggest fans, Michael. We have our other podcast, Batmen for Batwomen.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, that was our other podcast, Michael, and we just really waxed lyrical about season 1 of the CW's magnificent show, Batwoman.
And how Rachel Scarston is in it.
Yes, Rachel Scarston is in it, and there's a little shrine of her in the tiny room there. If you take a look behind you, Michael,
she was in Lost Girl.
She was indeed. Now, Michael, you and I took a week of mourning. Listeners will recall the podcast simply ceased to be for a week because we heard that pretty much silver screen icon and all-around greatest actor of her generation, Ruby Rose, decided not to pursue a season 2 role.
Oh, what a shame.
And we wept, Michael.
Who's going to do all the facial expressions then?
No, remember, Michael, we discussed how she's iconic because she doesn't know how to do
she doesn't know how to do any facial expressions.
She forgoes them in favour of a more blank paper style of acting.
She can do a sarcastic eyebrow.
She has, and she's revolutionised the sarcastic. Many would say that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was the man to champion the sarcastic eyebrow. No, Michael, it was Ruby Rose.
Anyway, Ben, let's get to the very laboured point.
So the very boring thing that my weird bit was in aid of was the fact that role has been completely recast.
Completely recast, Ben?
Yes. One Miss Javice Leslie. I would assume that's how her name is pronounced. I apologise if I've gotten that horribly wrong. Is going to take on the role.
Do you think she's going to play Kate Kane, or are they going to have a new character be Batwoman?
It is official that she will not be Kate Kane.
Oh, who will she be then?
She's going to play... I have the name here. It's written here next to me.
Yeah.
Her character is very different, Michael. She's a former drug runner in Gotham City.
Oh.
I know. So she's a bit rough around the edges, Michael. A bit rough around the edges. And her name will be Ryan Wilder.
Ryan Wilder, that's cool. That's a boy's name.
Wilder.
No one cares anymore.
Well, it's very important here, Michael. There's a statement here from Miss Javice Leslie, and I'm going to have a little read of it. I'm extremely proud to be the first black actress to play the iconic role of Batwoman on television. Now, Michael, I took a quick pause there and went, the iconic role of Batwoman on television?
Yeah, well, that's a bit much, all right, yeah.
And as a bisexual woman, I am honoured to join this groundbreaking show, which has been such a trailblazer for the LGBTQ plus community, Leslie said. Whereupon I paused again and said, do people know it exists? Trailblazing? Strong. Some strong words there from Miss Javice Leslie. Anyway, her previous credits are God Friended Me, which was a CBS comedy about our almighty saviour, God, friending people on Facebook to make them do good deeds.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, it wasn't. So she's going to take over, Michael. And,
very good.
It's going to be bloody interesting. She's going to be a rough around the edges kind of Batwoman.
A rough and tumble Batwoman.
And that's what we're dealing with here, Michael. Naturally, scrolling down to the comments and any of the announcements, Michael, was just a smorgasbord of racism and
good.
Moany bitching. It was great because Miss Javice Leslie is a woman of colour. She's an African American or black. So that was fun for me to go through. My faith in humanity was chipped away at just a touch more. As
very
I
good.
Through the comments
Speaking
there.
of Benjamin, I like your shirt there today. I like you're dressed up as a can of Coke.
I'm dressed up as a can of Coke, Michael, just for you, because I know you like a Coke.
I do like a Coke, Ben. Is this episode sponsored by Coke?
Oh, Michael, if this episode was sponsored by Coke, I tell you bloody what, I'd be making a lot more effort.
Wow, there's a mission statement for you. Benjamin, things are starting to... Are there any other trailers we have to talk about? Any other news?
There's 2 more trailers we have to talk
Go on
about,
then.
Michael. Michael, it's been a week for trailers. You and
Hell of
I
a week.
have been oscillating between the wonderful world of absolutely feck all happening in the pop culture world
Yeah.
and then trying to get through everything that's happened in one single bloody week.
How do you cope?
A lot
Coke,
of cocaine.
probably.
A lot
Yeah,
of cocaine.
Yeah, Coke, yeah.
A lot of cocaine.
Yeah.
Hang on just one second. Sorry, just... Yeah. Oh. Okay.
What's going on now?
My brother's reminding me
there
not to
now.
say M. My brother's reminding me not to say M.
Don't say M, Ben, you son of a bitch.
So,
Yeah.
2 more things dropped this week, Michael.
Am I to edit this bit out?
Nah, you can leave it all in. It doesn't really
All
matter.
right, we'll leave it in then.
Yeah, so it doesn't.
Now he's giving out to his family.
Leave
for
it all
talking.
in.
This
Just
is
trying to get a bit of
hilarious.
hush. Just trying to get a bit of hush.
Benjamin, are you doing this podcast with your family sitting around you like a live audience? That's what it appears to be to the listener. That's very good. Go on. What are you talking about?
We enjoyed 2 shows last year, Michael. Those shows were The Boys and Umbrella Academy.
Yes, I did enjoy both.
We thought
of
we thought they were really an indication that the adaptation of comic books to screen were getting much, much better.
2 of the rare shows, Ben, that I've seen all of them.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I didn't
Both
peter
of us
off at the end.
both of us have watched them in full, which is a brand new, exciting time.
Yeah.
They got their season 2 trailers this week, Michael.
I know. I bloody saw them, Ben.
Bloody trailer watching away you were. Go on, tell
I
me what you
was.
thought.
In Umbrella Academy, Ben, they're in the past. They're in the swinging 60s.
The swinging 60s, baby.
And Klaus has started a cult. Is that based on the comic, Ben? Or have they
Yeah,
gone their own way entirely?
there is a second comic, Michael, with a lot of timey-wimey, jumpy, roundy stuff.
Okay, very good.
I haven't read it yet, but I will read it in aid of this very season 2. Season 2. So I will be doing that. They're all back in time, Michael, and I think, Michael, we're going to have a little bit of a look at what happens when a blended family gets sent back in time to where segregation and racism and all that good old stuff is still around.
Oh, no. When?
Because-
The early 2000s?
Because it...
Oh.
How about 2020, Michael? How about
I got
2020?
society, Ben. I hoist society by its own petard there.
Zing.
Yeah.
Zingaroo.
Go on,
You
go
got
on, what
him.
were you saying
You
there?
got him. They're all split up. Various people go through different little character arcs. It looks like Rumor is going to get a taste of what it's like to be trapped in the 60s as a black woman, which I
Yeah.
wouldn't say is great.
No, probably racist.
Yeah, probably real racist. Space Boy looks like he's going to have to shave down those big old gorilla arms and start a cage fighting thing.
Some sort of cage fighting club, yeah.
Not unlike early 2000s X-Men movie where we were introduced to Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, and the man punched him in the head.
And a man punched him in the
hurts his
head. He's got a bloody metal plate.
Yeah, he's got a mental head.
Silly guy. Silly guy.
Silly man.
It's going to be interesting, Michael.
I'll watch
I'm
it.
gonna
Ben,
watch
but
it.
I'm not thrilled by it. The trailer didn't thrill me.
Oh.
I hadn't thought to myself, oh, I'd love to see the same characters but in the 60s.
No, I don't think anybody said that, Michael. But
No,
I'm going to watch it.
Yeah,
The
I'll
one
watch
I'm
it.
least excited to see return is the one that they kind of used for the major marketing at the beginning, and that's Ellen. What's her name?
Ellen DePage.
Ellen Page. I just don't care.
Ellen
I
DePage.
just don't care
believe is her
about
name.
Ellen Page.
Ellen DePage. What's the other trailer, Benjamin?
The other trailer that we got, Michael, was The Boys season 2.
Oh, okay. I'm
The
excited
very
about
important
that.
TV series that took the incredibly mean comic book series by Garth Ennis and made it into something actually half decent and passable.
Slightly less mean, yeah.
Slightly less mean, made it into a fairly decent thing. Michael, we're going to get to see it. The Homelander's back, which is all I care about, Michael. I
He's
love
very
the
good.
Homelander. I think
What
he's
a
an
prick.
excellent character. He's so alarmingly evil. It's wonderful. Can't wait.
What an absolute prick, Ben. No one likes him.
Yeah, I watched the behind the scenes bloopers, Michael, and he's bloody Australian, and it knocked me for 6, Michael.
Of course he's
I was-
Australian.
I was shook.
How
I
did
was
we not
shook.
notice?
I was shaking in my boots, Michael. I
He's
was
like
there going,
fair
oh,
dinkum smashed that scene.
oh, fair dinkum smashed it. I'm the Homelander. I'm here for truth, justice in the American way. American way.
Australian way. You drongo.
Yeah,
Benjamin,
Drongo.
speaking of Netflix shows, there was a pretty big release on Netflix this week, which I watched, and it's not what you think it was, Benjamin. It was, imagine if Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Ben, got her powers from angels and was European.
It's Warrior Nun.
Warrior Nun, Ben. In every generation, there's a chosen one, a young woman who must fight against the forces of evil and protect Sunnydale from the Hellmouth.
You mispronounced that there. It's a chosen nun.
Chosen Nun. Very good. Benjamin, I watched episode 1 of Warrior Nun. Gruesome injury detail. As at the start of Netflix, you know, the recommendations come up of who should watch this, and it says injury detail. But by golly, some gruesome injury detail in this show.
Go on, give me your top 3 gruesome injuries.
Oh, well, she has a halo, basically, Ben, for people who haven't seen it.
Okay.
Gentle spoilers here. So there seems to be an ongoing battle between the forces of evil, Ben, and the forces of good. And the forces of good, or the forces of the church at the very least, Ben, they'll probably turn out to be a bit bad in the end, if you know what I'm saying.
Couple of bad eggs.
Winkety, winkety, winkety. And they have one chosen one among their number who has an angel's halo in her back, and it gives her superpowers.
Sorry?
Yeah, you heard me.
Could you?
Unless you didn't. Was there a Zoom problem?
I did hear you, but...
Oh, you did, yeah.
Michael, traditionally...
Yes.
Halo goes in the head.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, Ben. It goes in the back. And when the bearer of the halo dies, they have this tool, and it looks like a torch, and they stick it in your back, and it spins all the skin around and rips all the skin off. Ugh. And they take the halo out and put it in the next person. And it's gross. It's very gross. It's horrible and gross.
Ew.
And then that person gets superpowers. It's very, very, very like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Ben, but way too slow. And instead of Buffy the Vampire Slayer's cast of kind of delightful outcasts and high school people, she falls in with a group of the most generically attractive hipster squatters you've ever met in your life.
Barbie nuns.
No, not the nuns. The nuns are fine. But her outside the supernatural world friends.
Oh.
Those people.
So it's like skins for demons,
but
and
way
angels.
more attractive. They're just all attractive. I couldn't even tell you how many of them there were, because they were just like they were like if someone. They're not squatters, Ben, that's for sure, because look at them. Where are they getting all these expensive clothings and stuff? But
get out of town. Squatters don't have chic threads.
It took a bit long to go anywhere, and I lost interest, so I haven't seen past episode 1.
Well, that's fair enough, Michael. Look, I saw the trailer for it, Michael. It didn't tickle my fancy. I didn't really think it had anything to offer the genre. I think it's sexy people doing sexy things against possibly sexy demons.
Sexy.
Sexy does sexy, Michael. Sexy does sexy.
It is set and filmed in Europe, though, which is nice.
That's a nice change of pace, Michael. I didn't know that.
A bit of a different change of pace.
I thought it was going to be nuns in Los Angeles.
Yeah, no. It's set in Europe, and most people are British.
Well, that's something.
And I think the evil nun is Irish.
Oh, good.
Isn't that good?
Well, as you know, Michael, we Paddies were an awful uncivilized lot.
Oh, yeah. She might turn out to be good, though. You know, it might turn out where the one who seems horrible actually is on the side of good, like Severus Snape.
Severus Snape, who really wasn't that good if you got to the end of the books. I never really understood how. No, I never really understood how that worked, Michael. We'll get into that another time. That's an episode for a future podcast.
Severus.
That's an episode for a future podcast. Michael, interestingly enough, Sexy Does Sexy is my number 1 chat-up line.
Oh, yes, it is, yeah.
Works without fail. Stroll up to the bar, lock eyes with the lady. Yo, Sexy Does Sexy. She throws her drink in your face. Score, you just got laid. That's what I understand it to be, anyway.
That's weird.
That is, isn't it? That's it, isn't it?
Weird thing to say. What a weird understanding of romance.
Is that not how it works?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
There's only one person who has a worse understanding of romance than you, Ben.
Oh, good. Okay.
And that's Charlize Theron's character from the film.
How you've segued
The Old Guard.
Well done. That was excellent.
It wasn't. It was terrible. Very tenuous.
Old Guard. We both watched it, Michael.
Yeah. I watched it anyway, that's for sure.
I also watched it, Michael.
Yeah.
Don't know what you're implying. Are you implying that I don't do the legwork required to do this podcast, Michael? Is that
sometimes, but I know for a fact that you did today. Benjamin.
Yeah.
Without going into spoilers whatsoever.
Yes.
The Old Guard is a new Netflix film.
Yep.
Featuring Charlize Theron.
Yep.
and one of your favorite actors, Tweedle Everdiefer,
Yep, big fan.
and some other people, some other no names.
Who are quite good.
Yeah. It's based on a comic book.
Yes, from
And
2014.
Benjamin, I would describe it as the film that forgot it was a film.
In what sense?
It's like a TV show. It thinks it's a TV
it's
show.
Very long. It's very long, Michael.
It's very long. It's too long.
It's
And
too long.
In setting up its world, it's done so much to set up its world that it's forgotten it's a bloody movie, and ideally that the plot would be resolved within the movie.
Yeah, that's fair. You're not wrong. You're not
You know
wrong.
what I'm saying?
Despite
You know what I'm
that,
saying?
Michael, I did quite enjoy it. I thought.
Did you?
I thought it was one of the better adaptations that I've seen, and from a comic book that was very meh.
Yeah.
I thought the film did a much better job of the material.
That's very
Personally,
interesting, Ben. I would have to say, Benjamin, I didn't particularly like it. I thought it was one of the most generic things I've ever seen in my entire adult lifetime.
I find that most things we watch on Netflix are quite generic, and of the
Well, I mean, there is that to be said, that there seems to be quite a generic Netflix, but there's no style or verve to this whatsoever.
no, that's true. I will comfortably give you that.
It's a bloody TV show. It's like 2 episodes of an overly long TV show.
That's fair. I'll give you that. That's very true.
Benjamin, why don't you, without going massively into spoilers,
Okay.
tell us, the listeners, how it stacks up to the comic?
Right.
'Cause
Well,
I haven't read the comic, Ben.
I'm not allowed to do any spoilers.
No, you can do mild spoilers,
Mild
but only if they're
spoilers.
accidental. Don't go, and that's when Jesus comes in and head kicks him. Oh no, I've ruined it.
Oh, you've spoiled the whole thing, Michael. You've spoiled the whole thing. Anywho.
Jesus isn't in it.
No. Well, he's in it for 5/8 of a second. We'll get to that. So,
Yeah,
Michael,
yeah,
imagine, if you will, every
Yeah.
significant battle that's ever taken place, throughout
Yeah.
the course of human history.
yeah.
And there's a bunch of lads, and they're duking it out, and they're all killing each other, because that's what happens in wars, because it's all bloody and messy and ew.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some of those battles, wouldn't it?
It probably would have been a lot more interesting if I could have seen certain characters who met during the Crusades and murdered each other countless times in creative and ingenious ways. But no, we don't get to see that, Michael. We don't get to see that.
just
We get
hear
a
about it.
quick bit of exposition. Just
Yeah.
a quick little... there you go. There's some
No.
exposition.
Ben, would that not have been a more interesting film? To watch two guys who are on opposing sides of a crusade hate each other and keep killing each other and gradually fall in love. That's a much more interesting film.
It is. I would have watched that film from start to finish without having to text you saying, this is very bloody long.
This is long, isn't it?
Yeah. So, anyway, Michael,
sorry.
the concept is, as we've both kind of explained in our little thing there are a set group of people in a very small minority. There's about 5 of them that can't die. They seem to all come from soldier stock.
Yeah.
It seems to be the key unifier, or the lowest common denominator. And they basically can't die no matter how many times they're killed or murdered, etc. Except, Michael,
Yeah.
to keep things a little bit interesting, they do actually have a finite amount of lives. They just don't know how many they have, Michael, because they're not like video game characters where they get to see the counter above their head. So
I
they kinda
don't
have
think
to
that's
guess.
true, Benjamin. Is that
What-
true? Is that how it works in the comic? Because I don't think it's how it works in the film.
What do you mean?
There's no indication that they have a set number of lives.
One day they just don't get back up.
Yeah, but I mean, what would make you think that they've run out of lives? It just seems to be something along the lines of their time is in some way philosophically up.
Well, okay, fair enough. I prefer to think of it as the infinite lives theorem, but yeah, fair enough. It's probably a little bit better understood, and it's probably a little bit clearer in your explanation, where you say, yeah, there seems to be some kind of destiny mechanic rolling along.
Yeah,
Which I don't-
yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly how it works in the comic as well. The comic is interesting. It was released in 2014, and Greg Rucka has done quite a bit of work. You've probably read a lot of his stuff. He enjoys an espionage comic.
Yeah.
He enjoys shadowy organization comic, that kind of thing. And this is no different. They're an elite group of mercenaries. And we meet each one. So there's 4 primary characters at the beginning of this, Michael. We have Andy, who's Andromaca. We have Booker. We have Nico. And we have Joe. Or, I can't remember his... Yusuf. Sorry, Yusuf is
he goes
name.
by Joe.
Nico... He goes by Joe in the movie. Booker fought with Napoleon. Andy has been around for, say, millennium at this point. Yeah. Nico and Joe were crusade buddies that ended up riding in the back.
Crusade enemies, Ben.
So that was good for them. And somebody's basically trying to track them down, Michael, because someone's put it all together and said, "Ooh, hang on, I've seen that face before."
Yeah, it was Tweetle effigy.
Hang on, there's a photograph from. In the movie it's. I can't say his name. So I'm going to try. You nailed it. Anyway, he puts it all together. He wants them to share their gifts with the world, so he makes a bloody Faustian pact with Big Pharma.
I knew Big Pharma with the baddies.
Yeah, someone who is... I can only imagine trying to do their best impression of Martin Shkreli, who was the strange pharma CEO a couple of years ago.
Oh, that guy. The AIDS guy.
The price of insulin. Remember that?
Yeah,
Remember
he
that
didn't seem the best.
Yeah, he didn't seem the best. Anyway... So he's doing an impression of him, and basically the gang get captured. But Michael, there's a bloody spanner in the works. There's a new immortal brought to life in the first act.
Ben, may I ask why you're just recounting the plot of the film?
Because I didn't give any spoilers. You asked me to give a breakdown of how it works.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it like the comic?
Oh, sorry. It's cleaned up a lot from the comic. So in the comic, I think Greg Rucka leans very heavily on the hedonism element of things. For example, Andy rides somebody new every day.
Oh.
She sleeps with strange men every day, and just to feel something, and she drinks herself silly, and da-da-da-da. And he's the man who wrote the screenplay for the film, so obviously he's thought better of that in time and went, oh, well.
Thought, I'll tone that down a bit.
Just because somebody's writing all the time doesn't really make it character, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So he's learned his lesson there. I think a lot of the ideas in the comic book are glossed over very quickly, and I think the film gives it a lot more time to flesh out how long a really long lifespan would be. I think we get a much better sense of the relationship between Nico and Joe to the comic. The action flows a little bit better, obviously, because it's moving film.
Yeah,
there's not a lot to be said there. But the characterization of Niles is a lot more interesting, I think. The characterization, Niall. Sorry, I was thinking of Frasier.
Yeah, you were.
I was thinking of the episode of Frasier.
It would be good if he was in it. You're like,
yeah.
bloody, shot the man.
I was thinking of the episode of Frasier where Frasier realizes he's an immortal Egyptian pharaoh.
That was cut. That was in the director's cut.
That was in the director's cut.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think.
Yes.
The story grew up a bit. I think in the original there's a lot of cursing, edginess, badassness that doesn't necessarily need to be there.
Would it? If it was there though, Ben, would it be less generic?
Oh, the comic is incredibly generic.
Is it?
Sorry, the comic is more generic than the film.
Okay.
And maybe that's why I enjoyed the film more, simply because it's a kind of an upgrade on the material. I don't know. As I said, I just finished watching it before the podcast, so I probably need a little bit more time to adjust. Digest. And I will more than likely come around to your way of thinking on it in time.
Because it's so generic, you see.
Because it's very generic, you see.
Yeah.
However, that being said, it was interesting to see how much of the strain... Like, Niall and Andy have very contrived dialogue in the comic, where they bond over the fact that they're two strong, tough women, and they call each other bitch and whore, and because they're bros now.
No, they're bros. I mean? They're hoes,
you're reading that
who
in the
are
comic.
Bros.
Yeah, you're reading that in the comic, and you're going, oh,
Benjamin.
I don't know. Yes,
I like the idea. It was very obvious when they introduced Niall. It's like, oh, we've got a new immortal, so we can explain things to her.
Exposition vehicle.
She was Ellen DePage's character from Inception.
Yes, exactly.
She actually says a couple of times, "No, wait, what's going on? No, wait, who is this guy? Wait a second, how old is he?" It's very, very trope. Very trope.
Very
Ben.
useful.
Much trope.
Very useful for us,
Much
Michael.
trope.
Very useful for us.
Yeah. Other than the two gay guys, Ben, I found the characters so generic that they might have just been written down as helper lady and leader lady and Cypher from the Matrix. And
Yeah, absolutely.
no spoilers there. A little spoiler there. Benjamin.
Yes.
There's one moment in it where Chiwetel Ejiofor is explaining his motivations,
Yes.
and he does a bit of acting.
Yeah, that was just about. There's one scene where Chiwetel.
Ejiofor.
Can you say his name for me?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Thank you. He just decides, you know what? Screw this. I'm an
I'm doing a bit-
Oscar-winning actor.
I'm doing a
gonna
bit of
do
acting.
Fucking acting, and it's quite good.
Yeah.
His bit of acting is very good.
It's
and
very
it
good, yeah.
justifies a lot of his actions.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
forgive him almost instantly, and you're like, all right, fair enough.
Fair enough then. Good
enough,
bit of
yeah.
acting there.
Fair enough. But it comes so out of the blue.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like, oh
Someone's doing
my.
a bit of acting.
Oh my.
'cause
You
everyone
can
else is
just imagine
just
the director
generic.
being like, Chiwetel, what did I tell you?
What did I tell
What
you?
did I tell-
I told you we're keeping the acting to a minimum in this film, Chiwetel.
Just a little bit, please. I'm an Oscar-winning actor. Please, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
It's about 30
give it to him.
seconds.
Wouldn't
But
give it
still
to him.
though, he does it.
Anyway, one of the things, Michael, that you
Yes.
actually pointed out that is in the comic is all the backstory and the flashbacks, and we don't get any of that in the film.
No,
and
we
you're
just
right.
hear about it.
It does detract from it massively. I
Yeah.
would have enjoyed a big budget crusade battle for about 10 minutes. I would have enjoyed the love story of Nico and Joe on that. I think if you removed all the other characters, Michael, and just had Nico and Joe
I like
and
Nico
their
and
immortal,
Joe.
and their immortal gay love affair,
Yeah, that
I'd
would have
be
been
way more
hilarious.
into that.
That would have been great. They're so
only
funny.
lovers left alive, but for the lads.
They're so funny, Ben.
They're
And
great.
yeah, they're great. And the worst thing about it is we've seen that done pretty well in a terrible film, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
Now maybe
Yeah.
they didn't do it for that very reason.
But Creed and was Sabretooth and Wolverine.
They were brothers. They weren't.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
no.
was
Are they
there. I was.
brothers? Yeah.
I thought I missed a huge chunk of.
No, there's
of-
not a subtext. I wasn't talking about the gay angle, Ben. I was just
I
talking
thought
about
I missed a huge
the battles
chunk.
through history angle.
I thought I missed a huge chunk of X-Men Wolverine. Origins.
No. I don't think so. Anyway, I haven't seen it in a while. Maybe there's a subtext we missed. Maybe we should go back and watch it.
Fair enough.
I'll tell you, well, I might go back and watch it. I won't be going back to watch the old guard.
But I'd bloody well watch Nico and Joe. Michael, it's done quite well
It's
in
still
terms of
number one.
reviews.
Has it? It looks pretty. I'm having a look here on the internet. It looks pretty mixed.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks pretty
My initial
mixed.
scan was pretty high, but I'll double check there.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty mixed.
I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Charlize Theron has said that she's looking forward to doing a sequel, and I was like, "That's ambitious. That's ambitious." They clearly think there's an end credit scene that I shan't spoil, but they clearly think they're getting a sequel as well.
Yeah, for sure. Or they forgot that it wasn't a TV show.
Or they forgot that it wasn't a TV show, and then they were like, "Oh." I did think that the three most interesting characters were probably Nico and Joe and Copley, who is played by Chiwetel.
Ejiofor.
Thank you. But yeah, I enjoyed it. But now that you've sobered
I've
me up,
ruined it.
Michael, now that you've sobered me up, I'm gonna have to give
you're
myself
gonna have
time to digest that.
You're gonna have to have another look at it, Ben, because I didn't like it.
You got me.
So
You got me,
long,
Michael.
so long, so generic.
V long.
Also, I think Duncan MacLeod would have sorted them all out.
Yeah, a quick swish of the El Samurai sword.
Yeah, that would have been the end of them.
Actually, it's funny enough. I wonder was Greg Rucka heavily inspired by?
The mythology of Highlander. It's essentially a Highlander story.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, you could just do Highlander.
Huh.
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed like a post-credit scene with. That would have been good.
Was that your Christopher Lambert?
Yeah. I would have watched that.
Anyway,
Michael.
Benjamin,
What else did we do this week?
Let's move on and do the thing we're supposed to be talking about this week. We're 34 minutes in.
Yeah, we there was a lot of news to get through this week, Michael. My apologies.
Yeah.
Michael,
yes.
you and I don't have a lot of time lately. We're very
Right.
busy men.
Yeah.
As such, we need bloody short entertainment.
Oh, very good.
And I need inspiration for my upcoming film, COVID, A Virus Too Far, question mark.
Yeah. No, I think you're not going to beat a viral love story, Ben. I just say go with that.
Okay. COVID and
Yeah, yeah,
humans, a match made in heaven, question mark.
No, it's oh Christ, Benjamin. Anyway, so I watched the Gambit fan film that's recently been made.
Yeah, we took a look at some bloody fan films, Michael. I'm a fan of COVID. We took a look at other people that made films that they were fans of
Yes.
things and stuff
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah,
And we took a look at different things, and you took a look at Gambit. Go.
Gambit, Ben. Gambit is a pretty big budget by the looks of things. Close to 20-minute Gambit story. It's called Gambit Play for Keeps.
Okay, fair.
Right.
Fair.
It's
a poker term.
It is unofficial, yeah. A poker term, exactly, right. And it stars a gentleman who I'm not terribly familiar with. His name is Nick Bateman.
I know that name. Go on, I need to check his face.
You find him there. I'll find out who he is. And Benjamin, in the bloody thing, he's a Canadian actor and model.
Okay.
Of course he is. And it's pretty high budget, Ben. You can tell it's pretty high budget because about a third of the way in, and spoilers for a thing that's only about 20 minutes anyway, but about a third of the way in, Eric Roberts inexplicably shows up.
Why?
I don't know. Well, I guess they've paid him and he's relatively cheap. But, so...
He must be.
It's... Very quick summary, Ben. It's Gambit has done a crime. He's done a robbery because he's a thief man. And he's escaping from the crime, Ben. And he is interrupted by Ilyana Rasputin, otherwise known as Magic.
What?
Yeah, she teleports into the road in front of him and she brings him to an illegal poker game where there's a motley crew. Yeah, she brings him to an illegal poker game, Ben, where there's a motley crew of characters who are the film takes too long to introduce them because they're pretty disposable and they get like a probably a 45-second to a minute introduction each, these disposable characters that no one cares about, and you're going, more Gambit, can we have some more bloody Gambit?
I believe the film is called Gambit, not Motley Crew of unbeknownst characters to me.
Motley crew of evil poker players. So anyway, Gambit plays in this evil poker game organised by evil Eric Roberts. And funnily enough, probably because of short running time, Ben, there's no poker-based tension. It's not about poker. We don't see any poker being played, really, other than people winning. So anyway, Ben, Eric Roberts has brought him there, and he's going to force him to play poker. And the way he's going to force him to play is because he's captured Rogue.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's captured Rogue and he's got her in some sort of torture device.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So anyway, Ben, Gambit beats everyone up and things explode and there's a fight scene and they rescue Rogue and everyone gets killed. And it's all right.
Right, Michael, I'm going to give you a 3-tier system here.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to give you a 3-tier system here because I think
Yeah.
all fan films can be kind of metriced based on this.
Yeah.
So, number 1,
Yeah.
good interpretation of the source.
I mean, it's very recognisably Gambit and it's very recognisably Rogue. The weird other characters they introduced, like Eric Roberts as the poker playing villain and the African warlord and the evil senator and the hillbilly assassin. I don't know what they're doing there.
Fair enough.
I would have preferred more time with Gambit if we could have it. Ben, I'm no expert on the Cajun accent or the Deep South accent that Rogue has either. But for me, both will forever be ingrained in my head from the X-Men animated cartoon from the 90s.
Fair.
And this sounds very much like a Canadian doing that accent and being a bit inconsistent.
Oh, no. So that brings me to metric number 2, which is acting. How was
not great.
it?
I mean,
That's the big one.
Eric Roberts is
fan
in it,
films.
and he's good as the villain, but I mean, such a generic villain. Yeah, I mean the Gambit. I don't know if this is a casting issue or a acting issue, but to my mind, Ben, Gambit. And it's unfair being mean to a fan film, but this is a fan film with a big budget, so these people are not going to be upset if we're criticizing it.
Fair.
Gambit is dangerously thin and muscular.
Okay.
Not a big, thick unit. He's not Captain America.
Yeah, he's a wiry, scrawny, sexy underwear model type.
He's like, physically, he should be a Matthew McConaughey in one of his skinny films.
Oh yeah, I'd like that.
You know what I mean? Wiry, thin, bulging muscles, but, dangerously thin. And
Shredded.
this guy...
He's a UFC fighter.
No.
Pre-match. Weigh in UFC
Yeah,
fighter.
yeah.
In the middleweight division.
Big bulging cheekbones sticking out of his gaunt face.
Yeah, get a Conor McGregor in there well, don't actually get Conor
No,
McGregor.
no,
he's
I
a
don't
bad
think he
egg.
could do the voice.
But, yeah, although I would watch Gambit as Conor McGregor.
I would watch Conor doing a deep South American voice. Anyway, this guy looks like he is well fed. I'm not saying he's overweight. He's probably not, but he's quite bulky. He doesn't have the lithe, dangerous look that I associate with Gambit.
He's not starving, is what you're saying.
I don't think Gambit should be starving either. I'll find a picture of someone who I think would be a good match physically. But
I think
this
Matthew
guy
McConaughey you might have aced it with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah,
Matthew
McConaughey might have done a good Gambit 10 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
Probably a bit old now. But this guy's just a bit thick, and he's wearing a bit thick body armor. He's like a big, thick Gambit, and that's not the Gambit in my head. It might not be the Gambit in everyone's head, but anyway.
Okay.
There are some good things, though. When
Go on.
you're not watching a completely tensionless poker game or wondering who all these weird characters they've introduced are, the implementation of Gambit's powers is really good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Powers are important.
He's not just charging up a playing card purple and then it explodes. He, for example, at one stage charges up his bow staff and smacks it down on the poker table, and everyone flies off in all directions because he did that.
Well, that's good.
Which is kind of cool.
Classic clear the room move.
Exactly. And then when all the debris is up in the air, he charges his staff and starts smacking like the flying poker chips at people.
Ah, that is a nice implementation of power.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Okay.
The guy playing Gambit doesn't look like he could do a flip, though.
Oh, okay. Does he do a flip?
No, I don't think he does a flip.
No bloody flips. If I don't see him do a one-handed cartwheel with his staff on the ground where he does a spin and a pirouette.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Not
exactly.
I need a one-handed carty.
Yeah. So it's fine. It's good. I mean, it's high budget. It's a good proof of concept of Gambit's powers and abilities, but it doesn't per se have a plot, and it relies too much on having a plot and bringing in these other characters and stuff. Just do Gambit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the big criterias of any good fan film. We don't need a big epic story. What we need is a vignette of the world that we already like.
Yeah. Or, the vignette that establishes the world without too much flim-flammery.
Indeed, Michael. In preparation for this particular shindig,
Yeah.
I upturned the rock that is the Star Wars fan film universe.
Oh, no.
And ooh-wee, mixed bag does not even begin to cover it.
Well, there are probably literally thousands of Star Wars fan films.
It's quite interesting, Michael. And the cream does tend to rise to the top here. You don't want to go down past the first 6 search results.
Right. Go on.
You don't want to delve any deeper than that. But I think the best of them, Michael, from what I can remember, there's a couple that I think are pretty good. One of them is Hoshino, which is starring internet famous actress, comedian Anna Akana. You might know her.
Never heard of her.
A few things. Asian American or Asian Canadian.
Canada's in America, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And she plays a rash and impatient Jedi apprentice, Michael. And there's a lot of hubris. I won't spoil them because I don't feel there's any point to spoiling any of these because they're quick enough to watch, so you can watch them afterwards. Basically, she's young and brash. Her master's trying to impress upon her the need for patience, diligence, and discipline in the Jedi way.
Patience,
and Michael,
young Padawan.
wouldn't you bloody know it? She doesn't bloody listen.
No, they never do.
Listen. Doesn't bloody listen. The thing I like about Hoshino, Michael, as a fan film is it really drives home a point that I think is missed in a lot of the Star Wars movies, and that's just how dangerous lightsabers are.
Yeah.
For the user as well as the poor individual on the receiving end.
Oh, they'll chop your ear off.
Yeah, the crux of this film is basically Anakin Akana wants to train with the lightsaber right away, and the wonderful Jedi Master is like, "Whoa there!
Have you ever seen one of these?
Padawan, this thing's as light as air and just flicks around and can nip a tip. It's bloody dangerous."
Oh, I don't like that expression.
You don't want that going around, and that's kind of the crux of this one. So it's pretty good. Moving on from there, the best of them seem to channel that good and pure, grim and gritty Sergio Leone inspired aesthetic of the original trilogy.
Or the Mandalorian.
Yeah, or The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian is pretty much... I think a lot of the guys that worked on these might have been consulted for The Mandalorian. Another very, very good one that we saw was... Oh, where's it gone?
Don't know.
Oh, it's disappeared.
Don't know.
It's called...
Yes.
I should have written this down. It would have been much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Much easier. It's called Bucketheads. Bucketheads, and it came out in 2018, and it's just a little stormtrooper day in the life of, and it's a pretty interesting little thing. You're kind of just looking at what a stormtrooper is expected to do when they're not chasing bloody rogue Jedis around the place, and it's quite interesting. You get to see them kind of take on a world. Remember that little hint? Remember that little glimmer at the beginning of The Force Awakens, where you thought it might be a good movie, where you see Finn kind of struggle with his moral ambiguity and, am I supposed to be killing people if we're a civilizing force for the universe? Is a colonial mindset really the best thing for a stormtrooper of color to be practicing? Is this really a good idea? And remember you thought maybe for a second, this could be interesting. This could be new territory. It's that, but in a short fan film. It's pretty interesting.
The Force Awakens was good, Ben. I thought the two follow-ups were weaker, but I thought The Force Awakens was pretty good. It's one of the better ones.
One of the better ones. Pretty interesting. But anyway, I thought that little glimmer there at the beginning was pretty interesting. So Bucketheads is one that you can have a look at. If you've ever wanted to see more of Darth Maul and his apprenticeship, I'm not sure anybody did, but I watched that one, and that was Darth Maul Apprentice.
Does he nip the tip?
He doesn't nip the tip, Michael. This is towards the end of his training, and it's set from the perspective of a group of Jedi who are sent to investigate a planet where strange things have been happening. There's
Too many
rumors
Darth
of a
Mauls.
Sith. And Darth Maul takes down about 6 or 7 Sith.
Jedi or Sith?
Or sorry, Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's pretty weird. It's a pretty weird film. It is definitely made by the people who always love the lightsaber fights more than acting or anything else.
Yes, good.
Like that.
That's what I want in a fan film.
Yeah, there's a lot of... If you're into lightsaber fights, ooh-wee, this is the boy for you. This is the boy for you. So that was my kind of experience of that. Go on.
What do you do when the fan who wants to make a fan film actually had the chance to play the character in an official big screen released film, but wasn't too happy with it? What do you do then?
I'd probably go wash my clothes.
Oh, very good. Because Benjamin, Thomas Jane, if you remember, who has a man's name and a woman's name, so that's confusing. He was the Punisher in the film The Punisher.
You nailed that one, well done.
And people enjoyed it. People said, that's an alright film, The Punisher. It's not great, but it's alright. We might do a sequel. And they showed Thomas Jane the sequel, and he said, nah, mate, that's shit sequel. I'm not doing that.
Is Thomas Jane Australian?
Oh, yeah, he's fucking Australian, mate.
Oh, fantastic.
And he said, I'm not doing that, mate. That's shit, mate. And then that was the end of making Punisher films. But Thomas Jane, Ben, still wanted to be the Punisher.
Okay.
So he got together.
Then?
He got together with his mates, Ben. For example, that guy whose name I've forgotten. What's the name of the guy who did the directing? Is it?
I have no idea.
Adi Shankar, is that his name?
Yeah, it sounds about right. I've heard that before.
In
that particular sequence.
Yeah.
Go on.
And he teamed up with a producer director called Adi Shankar, and his acting friend Ron Perlman.
Yes.
And he made an unofficial fan film of the Punisher, Ben, called Dirty Laundry.
Yes, it was bloody good, Michael.
And to the antithesis of Gambit Play for Keeps, which revelled in its world building. This is just a little vignette of the Punisher punishing.
Best kind. Best kind, Michael.
Very, very good. A bit grim.
Yeah, it's a bit rough.
Yeah, a bit more rape than you'd really like in
I know.
in an afternoon.
There was an unnecessary amount of rape.
But there is a necessary amount of buying a bottle of Jack Daniels and kicking the shit out of people with it.
Yeah, sorry, Michael. I'd just like to go back on my previous statement there, because an unnecessary amount of rape implies that there might be a necessary amount of rape, which is not true. And I'd like to take
watch
that
Ben.
right away.
That kind of
I'd like
phraseology.
to take that back right away. Sorry, that was a huge cock up on my part. That's what I get for reading my phone for a bit of quick research while you're spinning your wheels. Apologies to everybody listening.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So Benjamin, Adi Shankar created this concept of the bootleg universe where he did fan films, and that was probably the most successful one. The other one was the Power/Rangers, which I'm sure you've seen.
Yeah, with bloody Dawson's Creek's own.
Dawson's Creek's Dawson in it.
Yeah, it was great.
As well as Battlestar Galactica's, what's her name in that? Boomer? Is she Boomer? No, she's not Boomer. She's Starbuck. Yeah. Adi Shankar, of course, is mainstream Hollywood now, Ben. He's doing the Castlevania series.
He's a big guy. He's made it big time. Big time.
Dirty Laundry is, I would say, Ben, the best fan film ever made.
Ever made?
Ever made. Best fan film ever made.
Well, I can't compete with that.
He kills men with a bottle. It's great. What other ones have you seen?
I think one of the other interesting things, Michael, that I enjoy about fan films is they kind of get to take the concept that we've seen fleshed out in a film and extrapolate that idea and push it a little bit further and maybe set it in a different time, Michael. And that's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's very interesting when you kind of deep dive into the lore of something, say The Predator.
Oh, I see where
and
you're going.
You realize that there's a bloody ritual where they come to Earth and they hunt some people, and you think to yourself, Michael, well, this is a bloody ancient warrior race. Surely they've been doing this for a bloody while.
Yeah, the pricks.
And Michael, that's exactly what the short fan film, The Creature from the Creature from Big Mountain, explores. And The Creature from Big Mountain is shot in the style of a Hollywood B-movie, down to the nth degree, Michael. It has gritty grain running throughout. It has the old Universal Studios logo come up at the beginning.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
very good,
do that?
Michael. It's very, very good. Very, very... Probably not. I highly doubt it, but nobody said anything. It's shot completely in black and white, Michael, and it's about a group of soldiers looking to be around the World War II era.
Yeah.
Who have reports from a small French town.
Right.
Of a big old creature up the mountains. And a gang of lads go up to have a look, Michael, and they find themselves with a bit more to chew than they expected. Ooh-wee, there's a big old creature up there doing invisible things. And it does one of my favourite things, Michael, where they know they don't have a huge budget, so they just hide the creature and do it cleverly, instead of trying to go big guns a-blazing and show you a big feck-off predator, which wouldn't look as good.
Well, I have to say, Ben, I disagree with you there.
Fair enough.
Because some of our good nerd friends are members of, I don't know what they're actually called, Predator Ireland, which actually sounds a bit dodgy. But it's Predator, because Predator is a man in a rubbery suit.
Yes.
What set Predator, and we're talking about the movie Predator here, apart from other rubbery suit men, is not the fact that it's a rubbery suit. It's that it's so well designed and it looks so cool, you're willing to forgive that it's a rubbery suit. But it doesn't take a fortune to get a Predator suit.
No, it doesn't. That's true.
It's one of the easier monsters to put on film.
Well, it is there. It is there in film right at the end.
Yeah.
But I think less is more here, and it works very well for that reason.
You know our friend Brian, Ben, from Arachnid FX?
Yes, he's very good at what he does.
He's very good at what he does. He's an enormous unit of a man.
Yes, he's big.
And he has a Predator suit, which is very convincing. If we were to make a Predator fan film, that would be one of the... Obviously, there are some advantages there of knowing special effects people, but it's one of the easier things to stick on a film, I think, as a big giant predator.
Fair enough. Fair enough, Michael. Let's agree to disagree there.
It's just a big unit of a man.
It's a big hulking man with a mandible.
Yeah, in a suit.
in a suit.
Benjamin,
Yes.
are you done talking about that, or do you got more to say?
No, we're good.
We're good? Because I want to tell you about I think we have time for one more, and I want to tell you about one that I don't know if you've seen or not, Benjamin. Have you ever seen Batman Dead End?
Is that the Predator one?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I have.
Batman
It's so
Dead End, Ben.
strange.
It's from 2003, 17 years ago.
Way back in the day, baby.
Believe it or not, by an American called Sandy Corolla.
That is the most American name I could think of.
Yeah, it sounds like a problem. Oh my god, I've got a Sandy Corolla. How am I going to get it cleaned off?
Or
But-
a really, really early 90s flip phone.
Anyway, Benjamin, it is Batman versus the Joker. And then an alien comes, Ben, and kills the Joker. And then a Predator comes and kills the alien. And instead of saying thanks, Batman attacks the Predator. And then he gets in a fight with the Predator. And Batman beats the Predator. But then more aliens show up. And then more Predators show up. And you're like, oh, how's Batman going to get out of this? And you never find out. But
It's mad.
all that aside, first of all, great Predators. Because as
Yes,
I said,
true.
it's not that hard to get a Predator up on screen. Second of all, spectacularly good looking Batman.
Yeah, Alex Ross Batman.
He is incredible looking. Great cowl. Just a grey t-shirt with a Batman symbol on it. But they've got
Yep.
a big unit of a fella to wear it. So he doesn't
And it
need your
works.
Ben Affleck muscle suit. I love the fact that he's wearing white contact lenses. So
Yeah,
that his
that's
eyes are
one
white.
of the first times I ever saw wide-eyed Batman on screen.
Yeah, it's incredible looking. The scene, Ben, where he jumps down off the roof into a puddle and he's down on his knees and then he slowly stands up and the cape kind of comes up with him.
Yeah, it's nice.
Straight out of the animated series. Incredible
tight.
looking. It's amazing looking. And then, like, pretty damn good cinematography on the fight. Not flawless because there are some issues with some scenes are lighter than others but
It was
it's
2003, Michael. Have a
2003.
heart.
It's incredible. It's one of the best fan films of all time.
Have a heart.
And unlike the Gambit film, it doesn't introduce disposable characters and then kill them off in a few minutes.
No, it doesn't. It just gets right down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, and you're like, what's Predators doing here with Batman?
Well, I'd say it was largely inspired by the 1990s run where Batman and Superman regularly faced off against aliens and predators. That was a
because they
very
had the rights.
common trope in the 90s run. There was a lot of that going around. Dark Horse combining forces with DC quite a bit. And their most successful run of that, and what spawned that kind of run, was an initial Batman versus Predator comic.
Funnily enough, Ben, I don't know if you saw the news this week, but those Predator and Alien rights have gone to Marvel Comics now.
What?
So we might see Spider-Person versus Predator.
I wouldn't watch that. Fun.
Hmm.
I've had enough of those weird crossovers. I don't dig them. They make the world a very complicated place if there's aliens and predators running around everywhere.
Maybe Aliens and Predators will end up in the MCU eventually, Ben.
Oh man, what nightmares may come. Hey,
What a
Michael,
world! What a world we live in.
What a world we'd live in, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
Do you agree with our list?
we didn't make a list really, Ben.
Did we miss anything?
Yes, well, I mean there are
What are-
literally thousands of fan films, Ben, and we've talked about 4.
What ones do you think we missed? Let us
literally
know.
thousands.
Down below.
Literally
in the
thousands of them,
comments.
Ben.
I'm not going to correct Michael this week, ladies and gentlemen, because this conversation is for you and I. Michael keeps trying to get between us.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
know we have a special bond.
Yeah,
That's why I do the wrap up. So I'm just going to plow through here and we're going to ignore Michael. And it's going to grind his gears. Oh, he's not going to like it.
I don't like being ignored. Luckily, I
So,
edit
ladies
this,
and
so
gentlemen,
I'll just edit
ladies
you
and
out.
gentlemen, he is the Glenn Close to my Michael Douglas. He won't be ignored, ladies and gentlemen. He won't be ignored. What did we miss? Let us know in many different places. If you're listening to us on YouTube, you can drop us a comment right down below there.
Just down there.
If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a comment there as well. But you know what a better comment would be? Give us an L review,
Nice
ladies and
review.
gentlemen.
Do a nice
Give
review.
us an L review. Let us know how we're doing. If you'd like to get in touch with us and suggest any topics that you'd like to hear covered on this podcast, there are a number of ways you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do it a nice, quick way by going to Instagram at Seomrabeag, SEOMRABEAG.
He's Tiny Room in Irish.
It does indeed. Or, ladies and gentlemen, you
Yeah.
can go to the good old-fashioned World Wide Web and take a look at the website that is www.seomrabeag.com.
It still does and always will kind of mean Tiny Room in Irish.
Oh, nailed it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us this week. I'm off to go turn another fan film rock upside down and have a look and see what scuttles on out. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Don't forget